What's up everybody, Tony here with HighTechCheck, and now that I've had a chance to give you my review of the most expensive and best tablet out on the market today, a lot of people might not be able to afford that, especially right now. So today we're going to be taking a look at a more budget-friendly tablet that has a lot of great specs. This is the Vankyo Matrixpad S30. It has a 10-inch 1080p IPS display. It comes with Android 9 Pie with no bloatware. It's got 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, expandable up to 128 gigabytes. It has a 1.6 gigahertz octa-core CPU. It's got a 13 megapixel rear camera and an 8 megapixel front camera. It has Bluetooth 5.0. It has a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi antenna, GPS, and it has a 6,000 mAh battery that should supply about 15 hours of use. So I'm pretty excited to see how well this tablet works out, especially because of the price. And you can also pick it up on Amazon.com right now. I will be putting a link in the description in case you guys want to pick one up yourself. And if you guys like me and you want to support my channel, please use those links because it helps me keep purchasing products to do reviews for you guys. So let's go ahead and see what you get inside the box. Okay, so first off, it looks we have a little ejector tool for your expandable storage. Here is the tablet. We'll go ahead and just put that aside for just a second. Here we have our user guide and a little quick start guide. Here's a USB Type-C cable. And here we have our little wall adapter. It's 5 volts, 2 amps. And that's pretty much it. So here is the tablet itself. I can tell you it has some really good weight. It doesn't feel like it's cheap. So here is the tablet itself. It's got a nice metal backing on it. Like I said before, it has a really good weight to it. It's got our little power button and volume buttons on the top. There's our 13 megapixel camera with the LED. It's got a USB Type-C there, your little SD card slot, and it actually does have a headphone jack. And on the bottom, there are our dual stereo speakers. One over here, one over here. So let's go ahead and talk about the build quality real quick. Like I said before, it does have some weight to it. It's not super light, but it's not super heavy as well. It feels nice and solid. It doesn't feel cheap or like it's going to bend or break on you. The whole backing of this, as well as the sides, is made of aluminum. It's got that nice cool feel to it whenever you pick it up. The buttons on the top here do feel like they're metal as well, and the SIM card tray is also metal. And then again, you get that headphone jack and the USB Type-C, which is always a plus. And if you are worried about cracking the screen, they do have some glass screen protectors on Amazon that you can purchase for this tablet. I will be putting links in the description for those as well in case you guys want to check them out yourself. Now, because this is an IPS screen and it's not OLED, the LCD is backlit. And because of that, there's usually some light bleed around the corners. Sometimes it can be really bad and really uneven. Here with the Matrixpad, as you can see, I'm in total darkness. I am starting up the tablet and there's really minimal light bleed. It's really not bad at all. There might be some up in the top right hand corner, but for the most part it is evenly distributed and the screen is nicely lit. It's pretty responsive. This is the first screen that you see. So the first thing I want to touch on for the UI is the smoothness. It's pretty smooth. It's probably not the smoothest out there, but for the price and what you're getting, there's really hardly any lag at all, if there is any. Opening and closing applications is pretty quick. It's pretty responsive, just as you would expect a tablet to be. It's also pretty quick to do orientation changes, so that's pretty good as well. I really don't have any complaints as far as the UI. Everything seems to be working pretty well, and I haven't had any issues since I've been using it. Now the sound quality is pretty good too. It'll definitely give you a loud enough sound to listen to anything you need to, right in front of you in a fairly quiet environment. It doesn't have to be super quiet. And the sound isn't gonna blow you away, but it definitely is adequate for the tablet. We'll go ahead and let you listen to the sound here. I'll play one of my videos. What's up everybody, Tony here with HighTechCheck, and So we are at full volume right now. For the iPhone SE 2020, iPhone 8, and iPhone 7. Now these cases are made by iBlazon. So like I said, it definitely is loud enough for your personal listening. You don't need it to be, blaring to where people can hear you across the room, but it definitely has perfectly adequate sound for you listening, right in front of you. The battery life on this tablet is also pretty good. For my testing, I had my brightness set to about half. I turned it on at 98% around 7:20 a.m. and then I ran it down as far as I could, down to 1%, and I got about 8 hours of screen on time. And the way that I tested that was I was streaming a YouTube video for the whole time that I had the tablet on, so I was connected to Wi-Fi, and I had my screen brightness at halfway. That's pretty much the scenario that a lot of people are going to be using. You can extend the battery life if you turn down the brightness. So if you're in a darker environment, you can definitely save a lot of battery if you turn down the brightness from 50%. And if you don't need to use the Wi-Fi and you're just using local storage to watch videos, that'll save you some battery life as well. But for the most part, for everybody that's going to be using a tablet, that's going to be streaming and wanting to, see the tablet in brighter environments, halfway is going to be about that. And for 8 hours of battery life, that's pretty good. Now, as far as the screen brightness goes, the only thing that I wish it had was an ambient light sensor. So whether you're in a really bright environment, a super dark environment, the screen brightness that you set is always going to be the same. You're going to have to manually go into the settings and lower and higher it yourself depending on your situation. The tablet also isn't super thick. I think it's a pretty good size for what it is. I don't really care how slim the tablet is. As you can see, as paired up by the Galaxy S6, it's really not that much thicker. It is a little bit thicker than the Galaxy, but again, to me, that's really not a determining factor whether or not I want to buy the tablet. It's not super thick. And it's not super thin. I think it's perfectly fine for what you need to use it for. So let's go into the settings and I'll show you the amount of storage that you get right out of the box. So this is supposed to have 32 gigs of internal storage. And if we go into the storage here, I've already added some apps and everything, but as you can see, the total is 32 gigs, but you get about 22 to use right out of the box because some is already being used up by the system. And you're only going to get about 22 gigs of actual usable storage. But the really nice thing is if you put an SD card in here to expand your storage, you can use it to expand the internal storage as well as set it up to be a portable storage that you can kind of pull out as if it was an external hard drive or something. But if you're not going to use that, you can increase the internal storage by utilizing that SD card, which is a great feature because if you run out of space for apps, you can always have a backup to add more. So as I said before, this is a 1080p screen, but the quality of the screen is really quite good. If you look at my little logo down here, you can perfectly make out what that says. The pixels are super small, it's not blurry, so if you did need to use this tablet for reading, you can definitely do that. I think the pixel quality is definitely good enough for you to be able to comfortably watch 1080p videos and do some reading if you really needed to. Okay, so here we are on a web page. You can definitely make out the text, really easy to read, and then if we switch it over to a reading portrait, the text will get smaller, but you can definitely easily read the text still, even though it is a little smaller. So you can see everything looks pretty smooth. It doesn't look jagged. Definitely going to be easy to do some reading. Now, as far as the screen brightness goes, right now I do have my screen brightness all the way up so you guys can easily see what's on the screen. And for the most part, in my usage, I haven't had any problems viewing what's on the screen. The only time you're really going to have problems is if you're watching something in direct sunlight. It doesn't get super bright and bright enough to where you can, see everything easily in direct sunlight. But for the majority of the time, I don't think you're going to have to worry about it. So I do think that the brightness is definitely good enough for you in most situations. But just know that if it's in direct sunlight, you might have a little problem seeing what's on the screen. Now, as I said before, this does have a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, and as you can see from the screen test here, it does definitely download quicker than the 2.4 gigs, and it's definitely quick enough for pretty much everybody that's going to be using the tablet. So that 5 gigahertz band is definitely working very well. Now, for the most part, this tablet works really well. It's pretty smooth for everything that you're going to do except for maybe some high-res gaming. So with that being said, if you want to play games like PUBG and Call of Duty, you're going to have to lower the resolution down to its lowest setting to really make the game even playable. The GPU in here just cannot handle a lot of high-res games like PUBG, things like that, Call of Duty. You can play things like Slither.io, you can use Hungry Shark, you can also play Candy Crush and Temple Run, and those run perfectly fine. It's just those higher end games that you're going to have some problems with. Now, while we're on that subject, this is a $150 tablet, and you would not buy a $150 laptop and expect to use it for gaming. This tablet works really well if you're going to use it for streaming or reading, listening to music, browsing the web. It does pretty much everything you need to do except play high-res games. And like I said before, you're not going to buy a $150 laptop and expect it to run your really high-end games. So as you can see, we're playing Temple Run here. There's no lag whatsoever. Everything's running pretty smoothly. As you can see, there is no lag. We're not having any problems or issues with the game. Running perfectly fine. So here we are playing a little bit of PUBG. I just kind of wanted to show you what it was looking like. This is on the lowest setting, so it's still definitely playable. It's not going to give you the best experience because it's not on the highest resolution setting, but if you really need to play it in a pinch, you still can. There is just a little bit of lag. It's not super bad, so you can still definitely play it. And then here's a little sample of what the video quality is like on the tablet. The video is definitely pretty sharp. It's got some good colors. It's not the best, but it'll definitely give you a good image, especially for what you're paying for this tablet. And then the still images, I think, are even better than the video capture. Another thing I was really surprised at is during charging and usage of this tablet, it never once got warm. It was always cool to the touch. And that's always really nice because batteries and heat do not mix well. So you always want your tablet to be nice and cool. So all in all, what you're paying for this tablet, it does definitely give you a lot. It's a nice tablet. The battery lasts quite some time. It's got a good picture. It'll definitely do pretty much everything you're going to need it to do, whether you're reading, streaming videos, listening to music, reading. The screen brightness is definitely adequate. And the build quality is really good. So I definitely recommend if you guys want to pick this up for yourself or maybe as like a first tablet for a child, definitely good. Again, I will be putting a link in the description in case you guys want to pick this up yourself. And if you guys like me and you want to support my channel, please use that link because it helps me keep purchasing products to do reviews for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little notification bell to let you guys know when I put out new videos. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.